Hello again, and welcome to the 13th episode of the podcast, Simple Enlightenment. I'm your host, Dean Graves. We welcome you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. In the previous episode, we discussed stress and how it manifests from a lack of awareness. We also explained the necessity of a daily visit to the Guru's cave to permit familiarity with the you that lives outside of the story, so you can employ analogy to distinguish what you like from what you don't like. In order to be able to do this, it is necessary to leave the village, at least mentally, so as to have a basis of comparison of the two yous that are participating in the current lifetime. This is how perspective is gained to allow a mind-body-spirit to efficaciously heal itself and advances its dimensionality during an incarnation. The most effective tool available to accomplish these goals is meditation. While meditation may currently be fashionable in New Age circles and received endorsement by some media outlets, it isn't widely accepted by the populace, probably because people find it difficult and lack the understanding of its benefits. A common misunderstanding is that a meditator is able to stop his or her thoughts and thereby escape stress. This may be true of mind-body spirits that have advanced to the upper dimensions of fourth density or even fifth density, but the population of Earth is comprised of a predominantly third density population, with an emerging fourth density one. As a rule, third density and the lower dimensions of fourth density consciousness don't have sufficient awareness to move out of time, and consequently can't stop thoughts. As explained in previous episodes, time is experienced because of the constant flow of thoughts presented in a programmed sequence, so it is highly probable that stopping thoughts won't be possible until long after everyone's current incarnation is over. In earlier times, parents would send their teenage children to live with a spiritual guru so that he or she could tutor them in spiritual matters. The teenagers would be an apprentice of sorts for a period of time until they had achieved competency in basic concepts, at which time the guru would dispatch them into the forest, desert, or mountains, whatever was locally appropriate, with the instructions to remain there until they could stop their thoughts in meditation. After months or sometimes years, the students would return to the guru and confess either their success or failure. If they professed success, he would send them back into the woods to meditate more diligently, knowing that they were lying. If they confessed their failure, he would tell them, "Now you're ready to learn." The guru wasn't being cruel, but deemed it necessary for the student to come to this realization as a result of their own awareness. The realization of their limited capabilities was a significant indication of an escalation in self-awareness and a significant surrender of the ego, because the student must be honest with themselves to do so. From a stress perspective, they became aware of their expectations, surrendered them, and became aware of what is. The practice of meditation has very simple objectives because all that meditation does is increase concentration and awareness. Many people believe that they are good at concentration because they focus upon projects at work, academic studies, or other activities requiring focus, but the concentration that meditation builds is not focused on things outside the self. It is focused solely inside the self, where the guru's cave begins and the village leaves off. Many people may also say that they are very aware of people and things around them, or may even have keen intuitive insights into people or situations. The awareness that meditation increases is not the awareness of people, places, or things, but awareness of the self. All of meditation's benefits are of and for the development of the self, and not to enhance an identity, social position, or intellectual interactions in the world around them. The purpose of creation is so that the one infinite creator may learn of itself by experiencing itself. By redirecting concentration and awareness to inside the self, the two aspects of self begin to rectify as inseparable perspectives of the same self, fulfilling creation's purpose. Exploring the self as completely as possible is everyone's purpose in life, and the reason for participating in evolution. All other duties, purposes, or activities, the story, simply provide the opportunity to implement the purpose of creation. The objective of meditation is to improve concentration and awareness, which then can be used to discover the self, explore the self, and make adjustments to the perceptions of self to surrender free will intoxication and align more completely with the Creator. Progression towards this end advances incrementally, but the velocity of progress depends entirely upon how diligently and honestly the individual mind-body-spirit invests itself in the process. If meditation is practiced once a week or occasionally, then progress will be slow, but if meditation becomes a daily practice or multiple times a day, advancement will be much more profound. The lifetime tenure of a meditation practice can be divided into two phases that are not mutually exclusive. Phase 1 is focused upon healing the self of distortions collected during the period of life when we are unconscious, which cumulatively incorporates all lifetimes to date, including the current one. Phase 2 begins when a relative degree of success has been achieved with Phase 1, and directly focuses on dissolving perceptions of separation. Practically speaking, the two phases overlap, but there is a point when Phase 1 is all but complete, and Phase 2 becomes the primary focus. The incarnate self is an analog projection of the unmanifest self, with the sole purpose of exploring itself through its experiences, interpreting those experiences from the vantage points of its unique pattern of consciousness, and then surrendering identity to allow for greater unity with the Creator. While we remain unconscious, we use a large portion of the intelligent energy flow to sustain the portage of the emotional baggage that we have collected. Emotional baggage is the result of previous lessons that were not completed, and keeps the mind-body-spirit stuck in a perpetual loop of experience until the processing of those experiences is completed. The emotional baggage distorts our perceptions and supports the pattern of consciousness that perceives of itself as separate from the Creator. Meditation allows us to turn off input from our senses, which allows us to retask the expenditure of the energy required to run our senses to awareness, and more clearly identify the temporary you within the story as distinguishable from the enduring you that is outside of the story. This activity allows us to gain perspective by the process of analogy of who we really are. The thoughts continue to flow, but with the additional energy and awareness, we can become observers of the thoughts as if we were standing on a riverbank observing the water flow in front of us. We have the opportunity to go to the Guru's cave away from the village. While in the Guru's cave, without the constant barrage of our senses and other experiential stimuli, our awareness becomes heightened. We can more fully become aware of the self outside of the story and begin to identify characteristics of the pattern of consciousness and emotional baggage that have been guiding the interpretations of our experiences. This is important because it is through the awareness and surrendering of the emotional baggage that we accomplish the healing necessary to successfully fulfill Phase 1 of the meditation process. The emotional baggage shapes the pattern of consciousness, which is a distortion of the self, and when distortions are surrendered, it is possible to align more completely with the Creator. The process of healing is an incremental one that only we can accomplish because we are the only ones that know our experiences and the only one that can see or feel what's going on inside. It is intentional that we have these limitations because we are tasked with exploring the self from the unique vantage point that we have created. Many people may have similar experiences, but no one has interpreted those experiences with the same emotion or intensity of emotion. Each of us is the creator tasked with exploring the self from our unique perspective. Meditation allows us to utilize analogy to advance dimensionality and transition from the chaos of third density to the greater stability of fourth density. When we enter into meditation, we are visiting time-space. In time-space, there are no problems, and so we are able to experience a vacation from the chaos and problems of the space-time village. When we go on holiday, we return to our daily routine of experiences with a new, more relaxed perspective, and the same is true of our return to the village from a regular visit to the Guru's cave. There are several good commercially available writings on how to meditate, and we have included some that we like on the suggested readings page of our website at podcastenlightenment.org. It is helpful to find a good meditation instructor that can guide your practice, but the most important aspect of learning to meditate is just to sit down and do it often. Also, finding a group or class to meditate with is helpful because it creates a shared energy that can amplify the meditation experience. Once you have attained a relative competency with getting into the meditation state of mind, meaning that you have at least identified the you outside of the story and can return to that perspective consistently, then it is important to begin to direct your practice to self-healing. Ultimately, the objective is to become aware of thought, not stopping thought. But initially, it's very difficult to identify individual thoughts or even identify a stream of thoughts. However, it is fairly easy to identify emotions. Emotions are part of every thought. An emotion comprises the emotional baggage. In an analog projection, consciousness experiencing space-time, emotional baggage serves as an obstruction to the flow of intelligent energy through the space-time chakra system, and emotions are stored geographically according to the chakras. The accumulated obstruction feels like a body sensation, but the nature of the specific sensation will vary. Often it feels like energy movement or a tightness in a localized area, but it may be more generalized and simply feel like resistance. Most of the emotional baggage collected from third density experiences will have to do with either heartache or fear, because love is what we are tasked with learning, and fear is a distortion of love. Fear is like French fries at McDonald's. No matter what sandwich you get, it's likely that you're going to get fries with it. Likewise, no matter what emotion is experienced, it is likely fear will accompany it. So there's usually lots of fear-based emotional baggage to discover and release. Fear is a third chakra emotion, and so we mostly store fear in the third chakra, located in the solar plexus below the fourth chakra. While meditating, if you feel a body sensation in your solar plexus, it is probable that it is some form of fear. Most emotional labels have a multitude of synonyms, and when we identify labels like fear or heartache, we intend to include all of the synonyms. Love is the emotion of the fourth space-time chakra, which is located at the heart, and while meditating or mindful, if you become aware of a body sensation in this part of the body, it is probable that you are identifying the emotional baggage accumulated as heartache. Fear and heartache will dominate the focus of the healing process for most people on Earth because of the design of our third density experience. If you have experienced physical maladies in the solar plexus or area of the heart, it is probably a manifestation resulting from the inability of intelligent energy to flow freely through that part of the energy system. The body is a manifestation of the mind, and the mind applies emotions to thoughts as prejudiced by consciousness's prevailing pattern. Guilt is an exacerbation of fear stored in the upper portion of the second chakra, and shame is an exacerbation of guilt stored in the lower portion of the second chakra. Females are usually able to identify obstructions in the second chakra more easily than males because they are often able to identify physical sensations in their lower body as a result of their menstrual cycle. Nevertheless, it is necessary for males to work diligently to bring awareness to these areas of the body and effect healing. Another area of the core body that stores significant emotional baggage is in the throat, where the fifth chakra resides. It's difficult to specify a specific emotion other than the condition of frustration here, but it is a prominent area of difficulty for most people. Such characteristics as responsibility, truth, trust, and self-expression are associated with the fifth chakra, and emotional baggage stored here can affect voice or physical organs located in this area of the body, including the body's nervous system, because the chakra incorporates the nerves in the spinal column. A more primal version of fear will be stored in the first chakra, located at the perineum or felt along the pelvic bone. First chakra body sensations are usually difficult to identify for both males and females, but emotional baggage stored here will manifest into systemic illnesses that affect the entire body, such as autoimmune or skin diseases. Primal fear is associated to a fear of non-survival and is a fairly simplistic fear when compared to the more general fear of the third chakra. Awareness, as developed and focused in meditation, is both a discovery tool for what needs to be healed and the healing tool, because when we discover the problem, we are shining light into darkness. Emotional baggage results from storage of the incomplete processing of emotions used to interpret experiences during our lives, and until it is completed, we haven't learned the lessons of those experiences. Emotional baggage is accumulated from lifetime to lifetime, and so there may be a significant amount of baggage to release. The motivation to do the work is not only spiritual growth, but physical healing in the current lifetime. On discovery, healing might be immediate and complete, but minimally, significant improvement can be realized. It is a process and requires a commitment by the meditation practitioner to effect changes. It may be a one-and-done experience, or it may require repeated visits to experience the desired results. Results vary due to a variety of conditions, including the size of the emotional baggage mass, the degree of practitioner's awareness, or the intensity of practitioner's resistance to letting the emotional baggage go. Beginning to heal is not a complicated process. Sit down to meditate, surrender the mind to the calm of meditation, and become aware of where within the body that you feel sensations. Some sensations may be in the extremities, but most are going to be in the core of the body. There are numerous secondary chakras distributed throughout the body, but they are all tied to the core chakras. And working on the core chakras will most likely clear any obstructions in the secondary ones. When beginning the work, use actual life experiences as a pointer to stimulate the emotional baggage that needs attention. Simply ask the body's energy system to bring to mind what experience needs immediate attention. An experience will come to mind, and you can then use that experience to feel the emotion. Allow yourself to feel the emotion as deeply as you can and focus awareness on it. It will have a beginning when the experience is recalled and the emotion begins to be triggered, a middle when the emotion reaches its zenith, and an end when the emotion ceases. If focus on an emotion is lost during a meditation, simply bring the feeling back into awareness and pick up where you left off. While focused on the sensation, it may move within the body. If it does, keep the focus on the sensation and follow it. Emotions are layered and, for example, may start with heartache, move to fear, and then move back to heartache for the next layer. Even though we perceive and experience to hold emotion, emotional baggage is not tied to specific experience, but rather it's stored in a non-specific bulk. Initially, experiences can be used to trigger stored emotions, but relying upon experience will soon become ineffective because the experiential triggers become cleared. More of the nondescript emotional baggage will remain, which will be apparent because of the practitioner's escalation of concentration and awareness. While doing the work of healing in meditation, concentration and awareness will have been strengthened, and these enhanced tools should be adequate to discover and clear the remaining emotional baggage without relying upon experiences. After experiences have disappeared, continue the healing work by focusing awareness on the geographic area of the chakras within the body. By this time, familiarity with what emotional baggage feels like should be apparent, and awareness and concentration can be used to focus on the feeling and continue healing without a corresponding experiential trigger. The day's work is complete when there is a feeling of lightness, usually fatigue, and no other experience immediately comes to mind. The next day, or later in the same day after some rest, return to the same routine and wait for either another experience or sensation to come into awareness. With diligent, honest, and dedicated work, all emotional baggage can be healed, which leaves the practitioner in a liberated condition, ready for new experiences that are not prejudiced by a predisposition towards the old emotional baggage. While emotional baggage is prevalent, experiences are interpreted with reactions, but after clearing, they can be responded to with a more appropriate emotion. A mind-body-spirit will continue to process thoughts, but with the full access to its energy and awareness now available, experiences can be fully processed at the time of their occurrence, and emotions can be laid to rest without accumulating new emotional baggage. Phase 2 of the meditation process can and often does overlap with Phase 1. Once the emotional baggage is substantially healed, it's time to begin working diligently on awareness of the unmanifest self, which will include connecting to the higher self. The pathway will have been significantly cleared of obstructions, and with the new awareness, the mind-body-spirit can focus on surrendering free will intoxication, which further heightens awareness and increases dimensionality. It's the plan for all third-density mind-body spirits to go through the same process. It's how consciousness evolves and transcends the chaos of lower-density consciousness. It requires work, hard work, and transforms consciousness from a victim perspective in need of salvation to one in unity with the Creator. Consciousness learns of its power as the Creator by assuming responsibility for its own advancement through the dimensions of the density. The reward for hard work is an escape from chaos and confusion, happiness, love, and honest intimacy, and eventually graduation to the next higher density where there is no pain or suffering. Phase 1 of the process can take a single lifetime or numerous ones depending on how seriously and diligently the mind-body-spirit undertakes the process. The results are immutable and inevitable for all consciousness experiencing third density. Those mind-body spirits not ready for graduation from the earth experience, indicative of not undertaking the process, will be transferred to another planet, probably Tara, to begin another plus or minus 75,000 year experience in the hopes that in the new third density experience they will awaken from unconsciousness sufficiently to undertake the process and graduate. There is no condemnation for not undertaking the process or graduating. Creation is a thought experiment, and all of consciousness experience is the Creator experiencing itself. Mindfulness is an expansion of what is learned in meditation, a way of living that permits a mind-body-spirit to take the awareness gained during meditation with them throughout the day. In other words, maintaining the perspectives gained in the Guru's cave while returning to the village. Holding awareness inside of the body instead of letting it wander unwarily on the outside allows the mind-body-spirit to unattach from the intensity of the village experiences, the problems. Once the emotional baggage is significantly cleared, awareness allows the mind-body-spirit to be in the moment and experience life without, or at least with significantly reduced, chaos. Imagine straddling the yellow line of a two-lane country road with one foot on either side of the line. One side of the road is the village, and the other is the Guru's cave. When the body weight is shifted to the foot on the village side, more stress is experienced, more awareness is focused on problems, and less awareness is available to maintain the Guru's cave perspective. When the body weight is shifted to the foot on the other side, the Guru's cave side, less stress is experienced, fewer problems are encountered, and more awareness is focused on how the village is aiding your spiritual growth. Feeling the weight of the body shift from one foot to the other is very similar to feeling awareness shift from being the subject of problems to being the observer, the object in the experience. Learning to shift conscious awareness to the object perspective allows less attachment to the experiences and less subjectivity to the emotions. Emotions are essential to interpret every thought processed, but becoming aware of the emotions used to react to experiences allows the choice of selecting another emotion or using the same emotion with less intensity. This is learning of power from a higher consciousness perspective, lessening unconsciousness, surrendering free will intoxication, and learning who you really are while incrementally unattaching from the physical. Experiences in the village will make demands upon the mind-body-spirit's awareness to varying degrees. The mind-body-spirit that has become awareness can allocate awareness according to fluctuating demands of the village experiences, but when the demand is over and the experience completed, retract its awareness and energy back inside the self to regain its Guru Cave perspective, ready for the next experience. The mind-body-spirit will continue to have experiences, but without exhaustion of its awareness. Thank you for listening to this episode of Simple Enlightenment. If you are enjoying these presentations, we ask that you share them with at least 3 people that you think would find them helpful. Our objective is to change the world by raising the consciousness of the population, which begins with information. You can assist the transition from Earth's 3rd density experience to 4th density by undertaking the healing process yourself, and then modeling the things that you learn and experience to others. Simple Enlightenment is entirely listener-funded, and it does take money to continue to offer this podcast. Please go to our website at podcastenlightenment.org and make a donation. While you are there, you can find transcripts of every episode, suggested readings, and much more, all free, of course. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast host and like and share us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, we leave you in the love and the light of the One Infinite Creator. Theme music and podcast production by Dr. Ken Wendt.